Okay, we're ready. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience. We got our technical issues worked out. So welcome to the MSAD 49 Board of School Directors meeting. We'll start with roll call. Booton,
Here.
Boyden here. Caverly? Here. Davis Folsom?
Here.
Here. Dumont?
Here.
Hashi?
Here.
Hussey?
Here.
Here. Kinley?
Here.
Here. Kugelmeyer is absent. Lambert?
Here.
White?
Here.
And Williams.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, so we have 11 board members present. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have several sets of minutes to approve from our special board meetings over the summer. So I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the July 16th, 2020 special board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Danielle and seconded by Katrina. Any discussion? Seeing none, it has been moved by Danielle and seconded by Katrina to accept the minutes of the July 16th, 2020 special board meeting. Booton,
Yes.
Boyden, yes. Caverly, abstain. Davis Folsom,
Yes.
yes. Dumont,
Yes.
Hashi,
Yes.
Hussey,
Yes.
Kinley,
Yes.
yes. Kugelmeyer's absent. Lambert,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 0, 1 to accept the minutes of the July 16th board meeting. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the August 6th, 2020 special board meeting.
So moved.
Second that.
Second. Oh.
Moved by Danielle and seconded by Roy to accept the minutes of the July 6th, 2020 special board meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none. Booton,
Yes.
Boyden, abstain. Caverly? Yes. Davis Folsom?
Yes.
Yes. Dumont?
Yes.
Hashi?
Yes.
Hussey?
Yes.
Yes. Kinley?
Yes.
There's absent. Lambert?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
And Williams.
Yes.
Okay, so that is also 10, 0, 1. And finally, I'd accept a motion to, or I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the August 13th, 2020 special board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Katrina and seconded by Danielle to accept the minutes of the August 13th, 2020 special board meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none. Booton,
Yes.
Boyden, yes. Caverly,
Abstain.
Davis Folsom, Dumont,
Yes.
Hashi,
Yes.
Hussey, Kinley,
Yes.
absent. Lambert,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
and Williams.
Yes.
Okay, 10, 1001. Thank you. Okay, John, do we have anyone on the phone line this evening? We have one caller? Okay. I'll unmute that phone line, I think. We're working to unmute the phone line. Please hold on. We're having just a bit of technical problems trying to unmute our telephone line, but please hang with us if you are on the phone and you're waiting to talk to us. We are trying to resolve it.
Hi.
Hello, on the phone. Could you say your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah. Ashley from Clinton.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just had a couple of questions in regards to IEPs and remote learning for kids with disabilities that might already have them. Do we have a plan or a curriculum, or will it look the same as it did at the end of the school year last year? And another question is, what kind of live connection will the younger elementary school have to their peers and teachers for remote learning? Will they have Zoom meetings, videos from the teacher, or what's that going to look like other than worksheets? Or are the parents going to take that on again? Hello?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for your comments, and we will try to get those covered as we go through the updates this evening.
Sorry, I didn't know if I did it right.
No, that's okay. It's totally fine. We don't usually take questions, but we will take comments, and we'll try to make sure we cover those.
Oh, okay, thank you. That was all I had for right now.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, do we have anybody else on the phone? No one else. All right, so we will go ahead into our old business, which is an update on the school reopening.
So thank you. It's Roberta Hersom. And I'll begin. Thank you for your call, Ashley. In regard to your questions specifically about IEPs and remote learning, I have met with our Director of Special Education, who is convening a meeting tomorrow with all the district case managers, going over caseload and looking at those individual IEPs. And certainly the model will be different than it was when we closed our school buildings in March. And our plan and obligation is to meet those IEPs. And they are working on it. And you should hear very shortly for those families who have a meeting that was not convened due to the closure, a new notice of update and when the next meeting will be convened. And there will be some students who may be identified as, depending on their specific programming, who will be in person maybe more frequently than every other day, again, depending on the need, but that is being addressed with our staff actually tomorrow. And your other question about what kind of live connection will students on the hybrid model, so the day that they're not present in the building, we are also working on that. We're working with the teachers and how we can facilitate that in technology, but there will be some form of check-in. And depending on the age of the students, I know for the very young children, we're talking kindergarten, first grade, perhaps, that there will probably be more print materials available to them. But what we didn't have in March, which we will have now, is some in-person contact where the teachers are able to facilitate that more readily as far as what we can front load, if you will, when they're in person. Some guidance we can give children for when they're in that remote environment on that blue or gray day, whatever cohort they're assigned to. And as far as the connectivity and the frequency of that, that is what we're working through right now. There will be an expectation that our staff communicate with children when they are not in person, whether it's a daily check-in. And we won't use Zoom. We won't use this particular software that we're using here with the board tonight. We are going to use Google Meet and as part of the Google Suite, Google Classroom. And again, our school opening in this hybrid model with smaller cohorts will allow our teachers to prepare children for that out-of-person day or a full remote environment if that's what the health situation requires. So it will not be like our March closure. There will be far more, I think, rigorous programming, and we've been working with our teachers and have engaged in some professional development, so we get better on the output and what we provide to families. So again, thank you for your call, and I believe, I don't know where you're, well, you say Clinton, so please reach out to the school principal, Mrs. Gordon, and our principals are developing these frequently asked question documents that are available to parents. They will be posted online, and maybe I could just transition into where I wanted to begin with a report and thanking the principals for the parent meetings that they have facilitated over the course of this week. And thank you to the parents who have engaged in that conversation, received a good deal of positive feedback. And again, as I mentioned, with the FAQ documents shared, and they're continually updated as questions emerge and we're able to answer them. I think the participation has been in the 50+ range for these Zoom meetings. And I think the principals have tried to accommodate multiple sessions and some in-person sessions. So we've had virtual meetings and in-person parking lot meetings. Yesterday, I went to an in-person meeting in the park here in Fairfield across from the primary school, and that was fairly well attended. So please be in touch with the principals, and I'm certain that they can answer other questions as they evolve. In regard to elementary school schedules, those will be mailed out within the next few days. And I do believe for elementary and secondary students, the parent portals are open, or they should be in elementary. I'm not sure that secondary, high school in particular might be still fine-tuning their schedules. And then a physical mailing will go out with the schedule, the cohort identified, and some other information that relates to just the very opening of school. Secondary schedules will be mailed out late next week or the following Monday. So Mr. Bowers updated me just before this meeting. And in conjunction with that, our transportation department is working on these bus routes, coordinating cohort family schedules with the routes run for a smaller capacity. And again, as soon as those routes are complete, they will be published up as they normally are. So as soon as we're able to get that information out to our families, we will. I know Scott Washburn and his team are working very hard with that. In regard to exploring childcare options for families and staff in the community, beyond our own capacity to provide it through our childcare programming, and for children older than 3 and 4 years old, it's a before and after program. Donna Carney is working very hard to staff the program fully. We had some openings as of last week, and she's working hard to fill those so we can get up to our capacity with all the distancing guidelines in place that extends to the childcare program. But yesterday morning, I met with Ken Walsh, who was the CEO of the Alphon Youth and Community Center, as well as local superintendents, and that would represent Waterville, Winslow, 49, and RSU 18. And we're working collaboratively to explore family access to childcare. And we know that is, it's a problem, it's a concern, and it's created, understandably so, great anxiety, particularly for school-age children, and parents' dilemma of when we are not in session, and who's to care for their children. So the Alphon Center had reached out to us and is coordinating this in the way of offering expanded programming, as in more openings, and with priority registration be given to essential workers, and they clarify this for teachers and hospital staff who fall into this cohort A, cohort B model. So the cohort models are going to be implemented here in our school district, as well as Waterville Public Schools and Winslow Public Schools, and the Alphon Centers very conscious of the need and trying to open up possibilities for us. So it was a good meeting yesterday. And I have, some detail I could share, but, essentially, they're looking at the cohort models for full day programming at the Alphon Youth Center on North Street. And, as this organization has capacity, meaning space, staffing, and licensure. And these are the things that we don't have capacity to expand what we currently offer here. So if I could just take a minute, so details as they were developing. So through the center, there's a weekly after-school program from 2:15 to 5:30 with a capacity of 2:30. And there's a $65 fee for the full week. School hour care, and this is what this school closure has created a great need for. And these are openings, and the students participating in this must be registered in the after-school program. But the school hours care is 7 a.m. to 2:15 p.m., excuse me, and will follow the Cohort A, Cohort B school schedule model. So I think a daily capacity of 115. So that's something wholly new that just the need didn't exist, prior to, what we're experiencing with the pandemic. And that's $30 a day, $60 for 2 days, $90 for 3 days. So they're very flexible on alternating, understanding that some weeks a family may need 3 days and the next week 2. So there's no broad commitment of locking into 3 days, even though you might need it, 2 that week. And they are going to encourage and direct families to apply for the subsidy, apply for scholarships, which are available through the center, the Alphonse Center, financial aid as needed. And of course, those are able to pay. And there's also a program so that program is going to start, on the 7th, which of course is Labor Day. So Camp Tracy is another site where the program will start September 14th, and that's a full daycare program offered Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. That is $185 for the full week, $120 for 3 days, and $80 for 2 days. And again, it's the same model of applying for some support, financial support for those qualifying. And I know that they offer scholarships. It's, a philanthropic organization with a mission to help and support. And I know that they are wanting to help our community in this way. So we're going to continue our conversations. This just began yesterday. I looked at the site just before I came over, and they don't have the specifics up there yet. I know that that's going to be up very soon, but I would urge families to contact the Alphonse Center. And another option that I discussed at that meeting, again with Ken Walsh, and suggesting that maybe, so through that program at the Alphonse, it's a licensed childcare model. There's also another model, the club model, we can maybe work through this through the Alphonse with the national organization, the Boys and Girls Club, of which Alphonse also offers, and the possibility of offering a satellite site. So right now, RSU 18 at Atwood Tapley School on Heath Street in Oakland offers this club type program. It's a satellite site staffed out of the Alphonse Center in Waterville. And we talked about the possibility of offering such a site in Fairfield, possibly using the community center. I had a good conversation with Michelle Flewelling yesterday also, and very open. And again, another person who's very sensitive to the need. And I think that we could work out facility use with the town of Fairfield. Again, through the Alphonse. So Mr. Walsh is going to, be back in touch to see if that's a possibility. So it would be an Alphonse sponsored club program, and that we used to have years ago in this town for the youth of our community. But I believe the program ended due to budget cuts. But it's a need regardless of a pandemic, and I think it would be a great service. So we are going to look into that. Another thing, unrelated to the reopening, because it relates to programming in our school community, just still working through filling the adult education director's position. And of course, I know our community is aware that our director passed away quite suddenly mid-March, just about as the school closure was happening. So as we've tried to fill it, for the community to understand, board to be reminded that for the past several years, it was probably during Pat's tenure, that the district budget had supported 4/5 of this position, with 1/5 of the position supported and dedicated, supported by financially and dedicated to the director's time at RSU 3. So since the budget had been adopted by the board and we'd actually had just begun our interviews for filling the director's position, and I invited RSU 3 superintendent to participate in it. RSU 3 has decided to opt for another model and has withdrawn and dissolved their relationship with 49. So I just for the board to be aware, it's challenging to fill, a less than full-time position, and we had that, even though it might have been a day a week in Thorndike. It's what we're able to offer based on our adopted budget is limited because we don't have that subsidy from the other school unit, and just to understand that the adult education program is a vital service in this community. It truly is, and one that provides an alternative pathway for credit for some of our high schoolers, more than just a handful. And that is, as we no longer have an alternative education program at Lawrence High. So aside from the enrichment programming in our community and the pathway, the high set, and the diploma program, it also serves as credit recovery. It's very conveniently located right here on our Lawrence campus, and I think we've had a long history of the director and adult education working very closely with high school administrations and counselors. We have high school staff teachers who work, in the evenings for credit recovery type of programming. So it's a very important resource to the students in our community. And that concludes my report.
Okay, we have one resignation, Darian Wren, Benton Elementary, resignation June 2020. And we have several new staff who have been hired over the summer. I'll read through the names, and then Mrs. Forsom can give us some.
Yes, please. Please do, and I
Okay.
will.
So first we have Carly Cooper, REACH Program Special Education Teacher, Corey Kemp, Media Specialist in the high school, Allison Layton, Benton Grade 1 Teacher, Caitlin Perry, Benton Grade 5 Teacher, Brianna Scoville, Benton Grade 2 Teacher, Devin Turner, Benton Grade 6 Teacher, and Deborah Young, Junior and Senior High School Special Education Teacher.
Thank you. So just a little bit about Carly Cooper. We've hired her for the REACH program special education teacher. She is a BS in elementary education psychology and experience as a middle school resource room teacher for 2 years at RSU 3 and a middle school teacher at RSU 18 for a year and 2 years at RSU 74 as a middle school teacher. Corey Kemp is our new library media specialist at Lawrence High School. She has a BS in early education from Southern Wesleyan University and a master's in library and media science from East Carolina University, and experience as a media coordinator for 4 years at Hertford, North Carolina Grammar School, and 9 years as a 5th grade teacher at that same school. Allison Layton, Benton Grade 1 teacher. Education is a BS in elementary education from Husson University, and with experience as a student teacher and long-term substitute here in MSAD 49. Caitlin Perry is a Benton Grade 5 teacher with a BS in elementary education from the University of Maine and an elementary teacher for 2 years in California. Brianna Scoville Benton grade 6 teacher with a BS in elementary education from the University of Maine at Farmington. And she did her student teaching at RSU 18 with Tapley in Oakland. Devin Turner, Benton grade 6 teacher with a BS in education from Thomas College, and whose experience is student teaching and educational technician work right here in our school district. And Deborah Young, and I believe this person was approved earlier, but a correction that she is not working in the high school, but the junior high school, special education life skills with a BS in education from the University of Maine, special education teacher for 7 years at MSAD 70, and 2 years as a transitional coordinator, and 2 years in Danforth, Maine, East as a 6th grade teacher. So welcome to our new teachers, our new fleet of teachers. We've organized our new teacher orientation for next Thursday and Friday as we move that up in the calendar as well. Thank you.
All right. I don't believe there are any other committee reports this evening. Do you have any additions for a superintendent's report beyond what you've already done this evening?
I do not.
Okay. Stu, I think you had something you wanted to mention before we go into our executive session.
Can you hear me now? I would like to suggest that we consider going back to non-Zoom meetings of the board sometime early in September, if at all possible. My sense is that if the students are going back to school and wearing masks, I think it is appropriate that we also meet publicly. My personal thought would be that we make some space available for citizenry to come in and view the board. I count tonight, I think there are 11 of us here. 9 of the 11 school board meetings that are attending this meeting are present. I find it very difficult to make decisions, and in large part because when we are having dialogue, I can't see the person and there's no visual cues. You have to assume how they feel about a particular issue. I'm also very disturbed that our YouTube videos on YouTube, all you see is a black screen with meeting in progress. I think, quite frankly, we'll get into trouble ultimately if we keep operating that way. We're public servants and the public has a right to know what's going on, to observe us. And right now, that's pretty tricky. I am also finding that our technology struggles in these meetings to keep up. I suspect it is more because we lack the appropriate commitment, or not, we lack the appropriate equipment and bandwidth. I think John, our technician, has done an admirable job cobbling things together, but our technology output from this meeting is, I think, relatively substandard. So for all those reasons, I will not make this a motion simply because I suspect there are other issues that I'm not aware of, but I would ask that the administration seriously consider reverting to the old system of board meetings.
Thank you. I don't disagree with you, Stu, that we should find a way to transition back to allowing some level of public participation. We'll have to make sure we can maintain adequate spacing. So that may mean limiting how many people can come in. And because of that, I do think we still would need to offer Zoom as an option, and the live stream. In addition, because similar to how we're offering remote login for our students, I think we have to offer that for some of our board members as well, who may not be comfortable at this point coming back in to a building environment. But I don't disagree that we should work towards transitioning that way. As far as the adequacy of what we're doing for making our meetings public, it does comply with the law that was passed back in March. I think it's Chapter 617 that allows for public meetings to be held remotely as long as votes are taken by roll call. So that we are meeting the intent of that legislation, even if the screen is black and the public can't see the people. We're meeting the requirements of that law. But I personally do agree that we should try to transition back to being in person as well, while making sure we can accommodate those who are not ready to do that. I don't know if there's anybody else that.
I was just, Jenny, this is Danielle. I was going to just agree with Stu and you that if we are expecting our students and staff to be back in the building come September 8th, then I feel the board should be meeting in person. I understand extenuating circumstances and individuals' beliefs and rights. And like you said, to still offer the Zoom for board members who choose not to come in person. But I just think if students and staff are coming in, then we should be coming in.
I just want to make sure there's a clarification there that they know not all students are. There are students that are choosing to go remote. I just want to make sure
Madam
that.
Chair?
Yes, and that was my point as well too, Katrina, that we want to make sure that we're offering that as an option.
Thank you.
My question is, and I think that's important to accommodate people. We're going to do that also with students. Is there some way that we could get rid of the computers here, the headphones, and maybe project the individuals, if they're participating by Zoom, on the screen?
We did start trying to do it that way when we initially started.
Mhm.
We ran into a number of issues when we first started that, with echoes and feedback. Yeah, the voices continued over and over again throughout everyone's computers. Maybe we've learned some things. I'm not sure, but I mean, I agree that we, need to work towards a better solution, and keep in mind that this is only an option while there is a state of emergency. And once that state of emergency ends, our ability to hold remote meetings ends as well. So I think that the current state of emergency only goes through September 4th. Yeah. So the national state of emergency has already been extended through October 24th or 25th. So I would be surprised if ours didn't at least align with the federal one. But they are not changed synchronously. Okay. All right. So at this point, we have a couple of executive sessions. Do we anticipate any board actions coming out of the executive sessions?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so we will sign off from our meeting because we're going to go into executive session. We don't anticipate any actions after that. So I would entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA section 405 6A to discuss contract negotiations.
So moved.
Moved by Danielle and seconded by Ray to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA Section 4056A to discuss contract negotiations. Booton,
Yes.
Boyden, yes. Caverly,
Yes.
yes. Davis Folsom,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Hashi,
Yes.
Hussey, Kinley,
Yes.
Lambert. Beth?
Yes, sorry, I guess you couldn't hear me. Sorry. Yes.
That's okay, thank you. White,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, we will go into executive session at 7:46. Thank you.